Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Horror on the Orient Express in a brand new city. So we will speak to our characters tonight and see what they're up to from Trieste. They have left Venice behind, and perhaps newfound fortunes await them here in this city. And so we'll just get right to the actions with introductions. To my right.
Hi, this is Mike, and I play James Robert Fraser, who is rather looking forward to having a nice sit down in a hotel room in Trieste.
It is coming in one way or another. And to Mr. Fraser's right.
Hi, I'm Rena. I play Lady Elizabeth Fitzroy, and I still have no idea how I was able to suddenly cast Fireball.
Yeah, chalk it up to beginner's luck, right? At the end of the table.
Hi, I'm Giles, and I'm playing Simon Griffith. All I can say is, we may be in Trieste, but I can't wait to get out of Italy.
That's okay. Italy's not done with you yet, sir. And to Mr. Griffith's right.
Hi, this is Miranda, and I play Maggie Bellinger, who's awake, but not quite remembering everything.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a puzzle there for you, Miss Bellinger. It seems that coming back to reality is full of holes. And last but most certainly not least.
I'm Martin, and I'm playing Richard Courtney. Richard's overjoyed that Maggie's back and better, but she's got those holes in her memory, and hopefully it'll just stay that way.
Oh, we'll see to Maggie at some point in the future. First, though, we have something rather fun to do, and that is, before we get the action started for the evening with the investigators, we need to congratulate them from getting through Venice by giving them an investigator improvement portion.
Yay!
Everybody likes this part of the game. And so to you, our listeners at home, we would just remind you that as things go with our Call of Cthulhu campaigns, the investigators are allowed to improve their skills, potentially get back some more luck, and continue the fight against the skinless one. And so I'll begin with you, Spike, who plays Mr. Fraser, and we'll go through your list of skills and we'll see what we get.
Righto then. So a few ticked skills where I have successfully used that skill. The first one on my list is Charm. Currently I have 42 points in that. And I rolled an 81.
Oh, fantastic. So you become 5 points more charming.
How wonderful. My next one is Dodge, which is currently 46. And that's a 94.
Okay. You may take 9 more points.
Well, that will certainly come in handy, I'm sure.
I have no doubt.
And a similar theme, my next skill is Fighting Brawl, which I have 36 in. And I succeeded in that. I got a 26. So nothing for me there. Next up is Listen, which I have 56. And that's a 42. So again, nothing there. Next on the list is Psychology at 49. And that's an 83.
Psychology. And you can have 3 more points of psychology.
Thank you. Spot Hidden, currently 80, so there's a small chance of improving this. Would you believe it? I rolled 81.
I would. Would you believe you can add 6 more points to it?
Woo-hoo. I'm approaching that magic 90.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, language French, which currently sits at 23. And that's a 47.
Well, we know that French has gotten a workout in the past few weeks. That's 4 more points of French.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
And
Much is
now,
that.
luck roll.
Ooh, luck. Now, after a very generous serving of luck in our last episode, my luck is currently sitting at 39. Or I should say Mr. Fraser's luck is currently sitting at 39.
Yes.
My own personal luck is sitting at about 11. Well, thanks to your generosity, I have succeeded on my luck roll by rolling a 38.
Fantastic. So we'll give you minimum amount, which is allowed, which is a D10 plus 5, which I give you 7, sir.
Thank you very much indeed.
All right. Now we can put Mr. Fraser aside and get to Lady Elizabeth.
All right, so I only have a few skills here, but there's some good ones. So the first thing is library use, which I'm not super optimistic about getting more points in because it's at 80. Yeah, that's a 77, so I pass that.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay. Next is listen at 60. And I got a 77 again. So I can get some points on listen.
You can. I'm going to give you 4 points of listen.
Ooh, 64. Nice. Next is occult, again, at 60. 89.
That is 7.
Ooh, all that studying paid off after all.
You have been studying quite a bit.
All right, spot hidden at 63. But that's a 27, so no more points there.
No luck.
More optimistic about passing stealth, which is at 20. Yeah, I rolled a 91 on that.
That's fantastic. Oh, and you get 8 more points of stealth. That's fantastic.
Sweet. I'm at 28 now. And then language French at 54. See if my studying paid off. And I rolled an 81 on that.
Parlez-vous. For 4 more points.
Sweet. I'm thinking I might not use these dice when we play the actual session because they're rolling super high. All right. So my luck is at 43. And watch this be the one that I pass. Oh, no, 58.
All right. But the dice give you 12 total with the bonus.
Wow.
That's not bad.
That's bad. Okay.
It's better than a sharp stick in the eye.
Yeah, I've still got up to 55 now, which is better than the 35 I was at previously. So we're good.
Just remember, as we're rolling luck, folks, you're not going above your maximums.
Nope. I don't think there is a maximum luck, is there?
Technically 99.
I don't think we have to worry about any of us going above that in this session.
Not now, but perhaps later. Simon,
Yes, sir.
you're on stage.
All right. My first roll is dodge, which happened in that wonderful combat we had in the clock tower.
Ah, yes.
And I rolled a 94 over 50. I would love some more dodge, sir.
I'm going to give you 3 more points of dodge.
Second is also fighting brawl, just like Mr. Fraser from that wonderful clock tower.
It was quite the event.
And unfortunately, that is a 40 under 50, so there's no improvement there. Next is listen. We get 45. And that is a 21, so nothing there. Next is spot hidden, currently at 45. And that is a 64.
What's it at right now?
45.
64. Okay, so may take 6 more points.
Next is stealth, currently at 60. And that is an 83. It finally gets to go up.
Yes, it does, by 5 points.
And last is geology. And I'm not sure if I remember when I used it in Venice, unfortunately. Unless did I use it for the sinking of or rising of the waters, the islands?
I think so, yeah.
And that is a 61 over 48.
All right. Take 8 more points.
Which puts me at 58. So now I'm technically a master in this. That I only fumble on a 99.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't. Your skill's above 50 on a 100.
And that is it for me, except for luck.
Go ahead and roll.
Well, luck is a 30. I would hope to goodness that I do not fit or pass this one. That is a 70.
All right. This one. So that's 11 luck. Boy, a little stingy.
I am at 41, but that still makes me feel a lot better than the 22 I had last session.
Benefits of surviving Venice and then this improvement have turned the ship around a little bit, it seems. Okay. So now we'll pass it on to her divine self, or former divinity, which was Miss Bellinger.
I think I always have been and always will be divine.
I couldn't argue with you at all.
The waters of Venice were very generous to me, and I had passes on fighting brawl, persuade, psychology, and spot hidden, all in the waters of Venice. So I'll start with those. So my fighting brawl is a fumble, 97 over 32.
All right. So we're going to add 8 more points to your fighting brawl.
So persuade was a hard success, 7 under 20. So psychology, a fail, 52 over 10.
All right. I'll give you 7 more points of psychology.
And spot hidden, it was also a hard success, so none there. Library use, I used to find a story about the Geromancy family and the doll factory. And that's a 76 over 56.
That's a 10.
Okay, sweet.
First 10 tonight.
And then the last one is listen, which I'm assuming has been used a number of times, of which
Yeah.
I can't remember. Possibly in the cathedral when we're sneaking in and trying to find a leg, and that's a 13 under 77, so no improvement there.
So if that is the list, then we would go to luck.
And that is a hard success for me, 29 under 60.
And you get 6 points of luck.
So it's 68.
Yep. Very good. And as we always say, last but most certainly not least, Professor Courtney is played by Martin. Martin, how is the professor?
He has a list. We'll read through them. I think most of them are spot hidden ones, but let's see where we go. So in Venice, he made a spot hidden roll, got a hard success for spotting a gondola docking. I'm using the rubbishy yellow dice that are really good in D&D and terrible in Cthulhu. Yes, that's an 80.
He's pre-planned this, folks.
Yeah.
All right, that's 7 more points for that.
Wow, that's good. So that's 64 to 71. Yeah, it's taken me all day to drill out this thing. You wouldn't believe it. I'm kidding, by the way. He made a listen roll in the gelato, which was something to do with Alexander coming in and talking, I think.
The gelato shop. You weren't actually listening to the gelato, right?
Yeah, I think, listening in the shop.
Okay, just making sure.
That was an 85.
Ooh.
So the little lead thing in the other side of the die worked really well there.
Yep, so 5 more points there.
Cool. And that's taken it from, I don't think his listen, 50 to 55. And the next one was locksmith to open the basilica door. Richard has 24 in locksmith. So 000.
100.
100, yeah. Is that a fail or a pass?
That's a fail for sure. You can have 6 more points of locksmith.
Fantastic. So that takes it up to 30. This is payback for that crap session I had where I got absolutely none.
Right.
So then there was another listen, but we've already done that one. Another listen, already done that one. There was a library use in Venice where we were looking for information about seals. And not the type that go, arr, arr. 04, so that's a definite pass.
So it's because you made fun of the roll.
Indeed. There was a psychology roll for the black shirts. I can't read the word underneath. That was a 97.
Oh,
That's
definitely.
a fail. Yep. Psychology is currently 54.
54. He goes up by 7 points.
So no 61. We got spot hidden. What did we do that? We did that earlier. So another spot hidden. Then there was another locksmith on something else. A chapel, I think. Another spot hidden. And, oh yes, a fighting brawl against one of the things in the clock tower. It'd be marvellous if Richard passed this. At the minute, he's got a base of 25. 65.
Fair enough. That's a 9.
Cool. Richard is turning into a hunk.
I mean, maybe. Well, if that's all your skills then, Professor, I suppose a luck roll is in order.
So he's got 51. It's even Stevens almost on this one. 25.
You get 6 more points of luck.
That's cool. So up to 57.
So we will close that portion of our episode today and then raise the curtain on a pair of autos that are arriving at the Hotel de la Ville in Trieste. And they park just a little bit down from the front doors here, maybe no more than 30 or 40 feet. And the predominant thing that is sort of surrounds all of you is this Bora wind, this wind that whips and slaps at the car in a strangely haunting way. You can feel it on the inside of the car. You can feel the cars themselves, these autos, lurch back and forth as they sit there on the pavement as you're sort of collecting yourselves and getting ready. And those of you who've tried to huddle under, warmer clothes, some of you might have brought with in your steamer trunks, are sort of trying to keep the wind off your body. This is likely none more evident than probably Lady Elizabeth, given the fact that the cold here in the Bora is going to be very uncomfortable. The driver of each of the vehicles gets out, and you can tell when they get out, they have to brace themselves against the door. So they step out and they sort of get pushed into the door and then turn around very carefully and get to the back door. And the wind comes in the driver's door just for a moment, and it really buffets the inside of the vehicle. And so as you all sort of begin to climb out and get your personal effects, the drivers of the vehicle tell you they'll bring your bags in. As you make your way inside the hotel, I'm going to ask you to make a strength roll to move inside the hotel, because the wind is that strong.
That's me.
Well, my strength is not great. Nope.
Okay.
Not even close to 35.
May I move to her ladyship's assistance if I see the wind?
Yeah, I think that's probably in order, but I would like your own strength roll if you would.
Absolutely. Whoopsie. Mr. Fraser goes on his arse with a fumble. 100.
Oh, you fumbled, sir. Fantastic. So you step out of the vehicle and you see Lady Elizabeth as you assist her in getting out of the auto. You see her begin to have trouble with keeping her feet. The wind gets very sharp, very powerful as it moves down through this street. And you see her begin to tumble over. And you go to help her. And as you do, you get bowled over yourself. Down the street you go in this rolling carnival that appears to begin. Anybody else fail?
Did not fail, but may I catch Lady E with an extreme success, 13 under 80?
Certainly with an extreme, I would allow it.
Maggie also failed.
Okay, Maggie goes falling over as well.
Don't mind me, gentlemen. Just make sure you catch Lady Elizabeth.
Well, I'm waiting for Richard.
Well,
Richard will try and catch Maggie, and no.
yeah, so the group as a whole, let me roll for Paul because it's only fair. Paul's rolled a 46, which is a single point higher than his strength, which means Paul falls over as well.
TPK for the wind.
And so the Bora takes the majority of you, minus Simon, who catches Lady Elizabeth before you hit the pavement, which is helpful. You come terribly close to the concrete, but you resist that. But I am much more concerned about that fumble than I am really anything else. A failure on the roll causes you to get bowled over. It doesn't cause any specific sort of harm to you. A fumble, on the other hand, Mr. Fraser, you get down the street probably a good 30 or so feet, and the only reason you stop is because there is this short, squat, poured concrete column that you rack your back into. You tumble end over end until you collide with it.
Pranged on a bollard.
And it's going to cause you D3 worth of damage as well.
Of course it is.
Which is 2. It's the only thing that keeps you from falling even that much further out towards the sea, which is not far.
Can I help Lady E over to the door?
Yeah, absolutely. The two of you can continue to walk towards the door. The rest of the group can pick themselves up with the assistance of handholds or fencing. There are some of these squat columns that have chain that run through them. And you can see just up ahead, there are some other people still moving about the evening here, and they're using them as sort of this guide to get down the street.
Once I get Lady E up to the door, I'll go back for Miss Maggie.
Okay. Given the opportunity to recover, you all can get to these, either the chain or pick your way back up to the hotel. Your taxi cab drivers are having issues. They're locals, but the wind tries to take them too. They manage to get your luggage inside. And the rest of you, after a few minutes, are able to recover enough to get inside and get out of the wind, which is something new to you. You were not prepared for that sort of wind.
Mr. Fraser, ironically, should have been completely prepared for that wind, having grown up on the east coast of Scotland.
Simon was prepared because of the winds that come down through the mountains.
I think you got lucky, but that's okay. Either way, the group of the 6 of you enter the hotel and begin getting settled. You are, after a few minutes, Mr. Fraser, talking with the staff there at the hotel, having already made reservations here at the station house, and they prepare to check you in. The one thing that might be slightly different from your stay in Venice that you recognize immediately is when the hotel staff asks for your passports.
Yes, that's understood. That's Mr. Fraser is not entirely surprised by that. Presumably they're going to be kept as security.
Yep, you are correct. After the passports are collected, you see the staff deposit them for safekeeping.
And, of course, Mr. Fraser will ask for a receipt.
Certainly. They issue you one for each person who checks in. And then after that, the hotel porters take over. They take your keys. They take any associated luggage you would like. And while this hotel does not have a lift at this time, you do have a very reasonably appointed hotel with a restaurant in the bottom if you're hungry at this hour. The staff let you know that the cooks and then the service people are more than happy to make you dinner if you'd like something before you sleep. They have a reasonable selection for all of you. They point out on nights that are cold like this, we tend to stick to soups and breads to fortify us through the night. And they talk about this rather famous vegetable stew that they keep on for nights like this.
Fraser's wondering at this point if he's come to entirely the right hotel. They don't have a lift, and all they have to offer to eat is a bowl of stew.
You notice that there's a fair amount of accent among these staff here, which are not Italian.
Do I recognize where they might be from?
They're East, a little bit more Eastern European. So it's possible that some of them are Slovakian or of that sort of. I mean, you're right on the border, so it's quite probable that many of these people here have grown up with that sort of heritage in their upbringing, and it probably bleeds through a little bit because he's fairly well read, I'd be willing to give Fraser an edu roll to see if he is familiar with something that might have brought that on.
Splendid. So is this a no roll?
Yeah, technically it's a no roll.
Mr. Fraser's pulp talent is photographic memory, which gives him a bonus die to no rolls.
Cool.
And I think this is the first time I've used that particular talent. So he's got an education of 70. And, well, that is just under the 67.
It's a pass, and that's what's important. One of the things that is sort of brought to your memory, brought up from the memory there that you have with some of the city's history, is that some of the events a few years ago here probably play into that. As elsewhere in Italy, the rise of Mussolini changes everything that happens throughout Italy going forward. The city has only recently been a part of Italy following its acquisition from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which happens back in 1918. At this point, you'd have read that there's sort of this full-scale, what we would call Italianization of Trieste going on. And so there are administrative forces here that are cutting away the Slavic languages that are in schools. At this point, if your memory serves you correctly, they've been banned. There's a lot of history and tension between the two groups, especially people who are super loyal to Mussolini. And there were riots here a few years ago when this sort of stuff started to be brought down.
Okay, he'll bear that in mind, and that might become relevant in the future, potentially.
Okay.
And obviously there's going to be some little amount of discordance between some of those who think that the old ways should be maintained and retained, and those who are fully invested into the Italianization of the area.
Absolutely. You all get shown up to your rooms, unless the party would like to eat here downstairs in the restaurant first.
I suspect we'll settle in first.
Yes, I would prefer to go to my room first.
You get shown to your rooms. They're full first-class rooms. The appointments here are comparable, if not maybe a little bit different style than what you found in Venice. The big bonus being that there's no plague here, and there aren't some enormous fish monsters coming out of the waters to try to kill you, so that's super helpful to everybody. But you get a nice chaise lounge here, Lady Elizabeth. You could sort of relax and have a book and some tea and consider it. It's been a pretty long day, as it were, and merely meeting the pavement headfirst has not been helpful to your mood at all. And so it feels like a very good idea to perhaps have something and find rest for the evening.
Bearing in mind that we're having to traipse up and down flights of stairs, and on the basis that hopefully we have, as he requested, a suite of rooms with a little kind of living area, he'll ask if food can be brought up.
Absolutely, without question.
And while that's happening, he'll also ask if they have any bandages, because he'd like to bind up his bruised ribs from his fall and his
yes,
rather unpleasant meeting with the bollard in the street.
They tell you that they're happy to supply them and could even call you a doctor if you need to.
Oh, no, that's quite all right. I'll see to myself, thank you. But we have a doctor in our party, so... Well, a doctor in training.
A near doctor.
Doctor adjacent.
Right. I suppose I'd ask then, is anyone making any sort of additional preparations before, or is it just eat together or not together and then find sleep after that?
I personally want to eat alone and then retire for the evening. I'm exhausted and I need to recharge before any socializing.
Okay, fair enough. There are a few others, so I suppose Professor, Maggie, what are your options for the evening then?
I think Maggie would probably want to be alone as well. She's still shaken up about not remembering things.
Oh, yeah, no.
And also probably quite hungry from being drugged and not eating, so...
Yep. A couple things get brought up that likely surprise everyone, save Lady Elizabeth, who's probably going to just eat alone and then go. they do bring up a couple of different meat choices along with this effective stew. So there's veal that's made available, and it's actually a fairly ample portion of it for everyone should they so desire. And it smells like heaven. It smells fantastic. And so as soon as they hit the main communal area with some of these plates, even if you're not hungry, it's hard not to get hungry if you stay in the room because the food really, really draws you in.
I will happily partake of whatever is on offer.
Yeah. And drinks as well are made available for anyone who chooses to imbibe. There's actually a fair selection of spirits here.
We got a minibar. Brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Could I possibly either do a little first aid on myself or get Paul to do a little first aid on me to
Should you so desire.
tend to my wounded pride more as much as anything else?
Yeah, if you're a little hobbly, then Paul will probably inquire if you're okay. He saw you tumble, but just getting into the hotel, he hasn't had a moment to really check on things. If you'd like him to give first aid, he's happy to do so.
I'm a little battered and bruised from that wee tumble on the pavement outside. Yes, thank you, Paul.
I'm surprised you didn't end up in the sea.
Wow.
Adriatic or whatever it is over there. Ooh. Paul rolled a 15. So his successful first aid roll will afford you a hit point back.
Splendid. Thank you very much. Oh, I feel better already.
The meal for everyone is help in a number of ways. Not only does it batter away the cold breeze from outside, but it gives you sort of that sense of fullness that you needed that you weren't afforded on the train because of the time of travel. They weren't doing a lot of dining cars. So I suppose then, is anyone making any sort of preparatory steps before they sleep? Is anyone considering something like sleeping in shifts?
I don't like the way you say that.
Well,
It's ominous.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of my job.
Maggie probably wouldn't even think of that. She would just be going to sleep because even though she was just sleeping for a very long time, it wasn't that like restful kind of sleep.
Okay.
Mr. Fraser's going to eat in the communal room, so I would imagine if Simon is also doing so, their conversation might potentially turn to those sort of things.
We can absolutely discuss that, yeah. It's nice to be out of Venice, but we ain't out of Italy yet.
Yes, true enough, yes.
But the food's good. It sticks to your ribs.
Ah, this is a very tasty piece of veal, yes.
What do you know about this hotel we're in?
Well, not a great deal, to be honest. It was recommended to us. It's the Hotel de la Ville. It's beside the seashore. I suppose it's as good a base of operations as any.
Do we know where we're at?
Yes, we have a map here. Yeah, and I'll get out the map and sort of spread it out. Move a couple of plates aside.
I understand, and thank you. I do want to look at the map, but
well, this is where we are here.
Right. But what I'm trying to ascertain is, with this hotel situation, are we fully trusted that we've escaped from the frying pan and not jumped into the fire?
Well, what criteria are you using to determine that whether or not we have?
Well, I can stay up for part of the night if you need me to.
I see what you mean. You think perhaps we might still be in danger staying here. Well,
we're not that far from Venice.
Indeed, yes. If you think it is important, if you think there is a potentially a threat coming from Venice, which there may be, I suppose it would be no bad thing for one of us to be awake and keeping an eye out.
Can you do a split shift with me? Because I don't trust the professor to actually own up to actually doing his share. He's like a delicate flower sometimes.
Well, the professor he was quite badly injured, as you were yourself. I mean, I don't see any reason why he couldn't sit up for a couple of hours and wake us if he sees or hears anything. But if you think it best that he gets a full night's sleep, then I'll not argue.
How about we let the others get some sleep, and you and I will catch the lay of the land, and if everything seems right, we just crash tomorrow.
If you think so, we have a deal of work to do tomorrow, not least attempting to figure out exactly what we need to go do and when we need to go while we're here.
Well, how much of that sounds like book searching and library learning?
I haven't the faintest idea, Simon, to be honest with you. I mean, really all we know about Trieste is that there's a museum here and there's a chap called Winkleman that is something to do with it. But other than that, we really don't know. I mean, there may be, hopefully is, a piece of this simulacrum here. I don't know about these scrolls that we also apparently need to be looking for. I don't seem to have any clue on that.
I'm hoping we find more of these scrolls at this point, but how about I stay up till 1, and then I'll wake you up, sir?
Aye, very well. Aye, yes, that seems like a good idea. Yes, I'll get some shut eye and you can wake me at 1, indeed, and I'll take the second shift. And then tomorrow, I suppose tomorrow we can go to this museum and see what this fellow Winkleman has to say for himself.
Keeper Michael, is there a chance with everything that we're able to get like a teapot or something that we can brew a cup or coffee in the middle of the night?
The staff would afford you a pot of tea for certainly. I mean, they would have done so with dinner. So if you ask for another, they're happy to get you one, but there are no, there's no kettle in your room that would allow for you to make one for yourself.
But I do still have my flask from London.
Sure.
My thermos flask. Okay, I'll just keep it in there to stay awake.
Okay.
Paul can give you some cocaine if you want to stay awake.
Not the same thing.
Okay. So the group, other than you, Simon, after a long day of travel from Venice, now in Trieste, they doss down for an evening of slumber. And as you do so, I would like a power roll from everyone but Simon.
Oh no.
Your pal's pretty good. I wouldn't worry too much.
28 under 70. Hard success.
25 under 75, also hard success.
33 under 80, so also a hard success.
100.
Truly. Is that the second 100 you've rolled tonight?
Yes.
Very well. So that is a fumble. Okay. Mr. Fraser, what is your current MP?
I currently have 11 magic points.
Very good. I take 10 of them.
Zoinks.
Simon, you get around to about 1 o'clock. Having done split shifts before in the mines, you're no stranger to fortifying yourself as best you can and staying up. You've not heard a single peep out of anyone in any of the adjoining rooms, except maybe the professor. He snores a bit sometimes. But other than that, everything has been just as you'd expect it.
I'm studying my Greek book and looking at my piece that I would like to attempt to translate soon, if possible.
You are studying your Greek. Very good. While you do so, the hands of the clock march onward towards 1 a.m. You reach that point in the evening where it's time for Mr. Fraser to take over.
I go knock on his door.
All right. Mr. Fraser, you are awoken in the middle of the night. Just for a moment, you didn't remember whatever agreement. You're still coming out of it when you hear this knock. But you feel just exhausted.
Who is it?
Jim, it's your turn. Are you all right?
My turn. Oh yes. Yeah. I'll be with you momentarily.
I mean, if you can't do it, Jim Barino, I got it.
Oh no. I'm fine. I'll give me a few moments to collect myself.
I'm gonna crack open his door, or Simon will, and stick my head inside and say, "Go back to sleep. I'll stay up the rest of the night. I know you're exhausted. You didn't react to me calling you Jim Barino."
Fraser's going to just kind of shield his eyes from the light coming through the door. No, Simon, no. I'm fine.
Just having a. I'm afraid. Jim, I'm going to have to insist. Go back to bed. You're going to be no use to Lady E in the morning.
And I think Fraser will have kind of been struggling to get his feet over the side of the bed and sit up. But, he said, well, if you insist, I am rather weary. Well, good night. Thank you, Simon. Thank you.
It's all right. I'll be boning up on my Greek out here.
Yes. Carry on.
Simon, make me a constitution roll for the rest of the evening.
That's a 2.
Excellent. You have no problem staying up at all. There are a couple of things that you will want to understand when you do this. One, you will not recover any hit points because you will not have slept. You will also wouldn't recover any MP either because obviously you're not resting. That said, we will cycle the clock forward a little bit up until about, we'll say 7 or so in the morning. And some of the people would normally get up. And the one person who is not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed or even awake is one James Robert Fraser, who has not woken up.
I think when Lady E has just sort of sat and read and done her morning preparations for about half an hour, she realizes something's wrong because usually Mr. Fraser knocks on her door within minutes of her waking up, as she has a firmly established routine. So the fact that it's been over half an hour and there's been no sign of him is concerning. So I think I'm going to, out of concern, go knock on his door for a change.
Okay. There's no response.
All right, now I'm getting Simon and Paul, because that's a problem.
Okay. Simon is out in the middle area. He seems to be still reasonably awake.
Morning, Lady E.
Mr. Fraser is not out and about, is he? You haven't seen him?
Well, I spoke with him around 1 this morning, and he seemed extremely discombobulated. So I just told him to go back to bed and get some more sleep. And if he's not up, that's not good.
He's not answering knocks at the door.
Lady E, I hate to impose upon you then. How about I go check on Mr. Fraser and maybe you wake Miss Maggie or Paul?
Yes, I think I shall go for Paul first and then wake Miss Bellinger if necessary. Because if Mr. Fraser is sick or in need of attention, Paul would be more useful in this situation.
Understood. Ma'am, if you'll excuse me. And I go knock on Jim's door.
No answer.
Is it still unlocked from early this morning?
Did you lock it when you left?
No.
No, it's still unlocked.
I open it and let the light peer in. I go over to the window and open the curtains.
He's here laying on the bed. When you open the curtains and let the light of the morning in, something which would wake anybody, he barely stirs.
Is he breathing?
Seems to be.
I want to ride the pony.
I'm assuming we have water out in the common room?
Yeah.
I'm going to go get the pitcher, pour a glass.
All right.
And I'll walk in there.
Don't you dare do it. Don't you do it.
I still want to stick your fingers in the water to see what happens, but I reach in, 2 fingers into the water, get them wet, and I tap him on the forehead.
It's rather strange. So you give him an Appalachian wake up? I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I don't want to throw the water in his face, which is my other option, but...
No, you probably don't. Mr. Fraser, you come to with a bit of a strange feeling. There's something touching your forehead and it's rather wet. And it sort of feels like it's...
No.
You have no idea what's going on. Someone's touching your forehead.
No, it wasn't me. It was Johnny. What?
Up and at him, soldier.
Who's that? Who's there?
When you wake, you feel like you haven't slept a wink. You feel just washed out, like someone completely stole all your energy.
Is that 1 o'clock, Simon? Time to It's time to take over. Oh dear. Oh,
Jim, you don't look well.
I don't. I'm exhausted. I don't feel I've slept a wink. What time is it?
It's around 8:30.
8:30. What?
Yeah. Lady E's already up, and she's getting a call for you.
Oh dear Lord, no. Where am I? Oh dear Lord. 8:30. Where are my trousers?
Jim, I think you need to stay here and let Paul come to you for a change. If you are exhausted and not feeling well, you're going to be no good to us today.
No, it's just must be that fall I had yesterday. My bones are aching. No. I'll. Here. Excuse me. I'll be fine. Be fine.
Stop doing that, Jim.
On the other side of this hotel room setup, Miss Bellinger, there's a knock at your door as well. You've sort of been blissfully somewhat aware of consciousness, but still sort of trying to roll over and enjoy the warm nest of covers you seem to have made of your bed.
Yes, hello, what is it?
Miss Bellinger, it's Paul. I wonder if you would be interested in breakfast, perhaps.
Oh, yes, that'd be nice, Paul. Is it ready out there?
It should be very shortly.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll be right out.
Of course. Richard, you get a very similar occurrence, although in a different manner. Paul knocks on your door, and you hear through the door, "Professor, it's just about time to eat."
Oh, right. Okay. I'll be along. Downstairs?
No, here in the room. I'm having staff bring up.
Oh.
Mr. Fraser's not awake, so I'm doing my best to do an impression of him.
Right, okay. Well, thank you.
As the group sort of collectively gets to breakfast, one thing becomes perfectly clear to all of you relatively quickly. There is something wrong with Mr. Fraser. He's not together. He's not crisp and prepared for the morning. It is of concern to all of you, but no one more so than you, Lady Elizabeth, who are seeing your rather astute and steadfast personal assistant to have an off day, and that's pretty rare.
Mr. Fraser?
Your ladyship, I must apologise for my tardiness this morning. It's not like me. I don't know what's wrong. Perhaps I'm coming down with something.
No apologies necessary, Mr. Fraser. I can see you're out of sorts. And she genuinely looks concerned, which is not an expression she allows on her face very often. Perhaps you should have Paul take a look. Mr. Fraser, don't worry about any other duties this morning. I would rather you look after yourself first, this time.
Well, that's very kind of you, your ladyship. Perhaps I will do that. Yes, I don't think I slept very well last night. It's all a bit of a jumble, really. Yes, but perhaps I'll just rest this morning.
So during breakfast, all of you would experience some very similar things. The flavoring of the food here is a little different too. It's less Italy and more Eastern Europe, especially in some of the food choices that you get. And so for some of you, that's a pretty welcome change. Italian food is fine, but for someone like you, Simon, breakfast needs to fortify and prepare the body. And so there's a lot more there's actual bacon here, and there's potatoes, stuff that you would be more staple foods for you to be on your breakfast plate.
Are you saying that Simon feels at home in the Balkans?
Maybe. That's a determination I would make for you and for you alone. For you, though, Mr. Fraser, breakfast is a completely bland affair. The food is food. And that is some sort of, perhaps the worst part of it for you is that there's nothing that picks you up in the tea. There's nothing that gives you any sort of taste of what this portion of the country is supposed to remind you of. And you just feel off the whole period of breakfast. The whole time you're all at breakfast, everything is sort of dimmed and gray.
I think Mr. Fraser, in his slightly woolly thinking this morning, is coming to the conclusion that he's caught a touch of the lurgy. It's definitely off color and come down with something. So I think he will speak to Paul and see if he's got any sort of pick me up, something like that.
Sure. Paul gives a knowing grin. Yes. The cold will get into your bones. It happens. Maybe you're just, you've been running the stove a little hot, perhaps.
I think perhaps I've caught a chill or something. I do hope it's not the flu.
Agreed. I'll prepare a tonic for you, and perhaps that'll help.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated.
What, if I might ask you, Lady Elizabeth, what are your plans for this portion of the journey? What will the group be doing next? I only ask because, of course, there are some medical things I need to attend to here, and some of you need your own more direct attention.
Of course. Well, I hadn't completely made a plan yet, if I'm being honest. I've had so much going on, and I've been rather fatigued. However, I do believe I might start the morning with a trip to the library. It was rather helpful in Venice for helping us make a plan for the rest of our stay, and therefore, perhaps it will do the same here. If nothing else, it will give me time to figure some things out while you attend to Mr. Fraser and anyone else who needs attention.
Sounds wonderful. Perhaps a slightly quieter start to our trip here.
One can hope.
He nods. Miss Bellinger, if you'd like, perhaps we can go over some of the things that you have questions about.
Oh, yes, that would be quite nice, Paul.
Good. All right, then. Well, then let me prepare the tonic for Mr. Fraser, and we can get started. Picks up a couple of the breakfast plates here that people are done with and collects them into a space, and then moves back to his room.
I think Mr. Fraser will move to a comfortable chair and probably within a few minutes fall asleep.
Absolutely. You don't even get through the morning paper, which is another curiosity. Right. Well, you're going to head to the library today, then, Lady Elizabeth? What are you planning to do, Professor?
Well, I was thinking perhaps, maybe a visit to the museum. Just for research, you understand.
Right.
I was hoping Maggie could, accompany me with, well, I don't know, Simon and Lady Elizabeth, but it appears that, you have other plans for her.
Well, he sort of wipes his hands off from grabbing all the breakfast plates and says, Miss Bellinger's asked for some assistance in making sure that she can remember everything clearly. And as we've talked before, that's pretty important. I don't assume that her not being at the museum will be much trouble, but he turns to you, Miss Bellinger. Completely up to you as to what you would decide to do.
Well, I would like to go with Richard, but I also think it's important that we talk, Paul. You know what about?
Certainly.
Perhaps I can accompany you, Professor, if you would prefer to have someone with you on this visit, and I can make a visit to the library later.
Ah, yes.
If Miss Bellinger has things she needs to do here.
I think that would be fine.
But if you do find any pieces, please don't touch them until I'm available. I will go back for them.
Oh no, I assure you, it's purely for research, and I doubt we'd be that lucky to find something on a first visit.
Well then, if you'd like, Simon, you perhaps could go with them too. I know that you've been up a little while, but it seems that Mr. Fraser here is going to have the opportunity then to get a little extra sleep. And I'll just be in the room over there with Miss Bellinger.
Lady E, Professor, if you don't mind, I'll be more than happy to accompany you and carry things and all that. But afterwards, I have a feeling I may turn in early tonight, if you all don't mind.
Yes, of course, Mr. Griffith. Just as long as you're feeling physically up to it.
That's not a problem. This is not much of a push, but I don't think I can do 2 nights of this.
Very well. Seems as though we have a plan. Paul, please do take care of Mr. Fraser.
Of course. Of course. He sort of looks over at the sleeping form now of Mr. Fraser. The tonic will do more soothe than pick up, but I think that's what he needs now.
Yes, he never rests enough, especially on this trip.
Well, luckily, a member of the medical community is here.
Indeed. Thank you, Paul. You are invaluable as always.
He nods. Give me, we'll say about 20 minutes or so, Miss Bellinger, and I'll be ready.
Yes, that would be perfectly fine, Paul.
And I think that's just as good a time as any to end this episode. And so we will see you all next week when we do a little bit more exploring of our new city and what wonders await. So thank you and good night.